The business of trust. Why reputation is one of a law firm's most valuable assets. A law firm's reputation does not begin when a case reaches a courtroom. For clients facing difficult personal, financial, or family decisions, legal skill matters. So does the confidence that their concerns will be handled with care, urgency, and respect. That confidence is not built through a single favorable outcome. It develops through repeated experiences that show a firm is organized, responsive, prepared, and accountable. In a competitive legal market, trust has become an operational asset. It influences whether prospective clients choose a firm, whether current clients stay engaged, and whether a practice can grow without sacrificing the quality of its service. Why clients judge more than legal knowledge. Most clients are not equipped to evaluate legal strategy at the same level as an attorney. They cannot always measure the strength of a filing, assess a negotiation approach, or predict how a judge may respond. What they can evaluate is how the firm makes them feel during a stressful process. They notice whether calls are returned. They notice whether staff members explain next steps in plain language. They notice whether appointments begin on time, whether documents arrive when promised, and whether a question receives a direct answer. Each interaction sends a message about the firm's standards. This does not mean legal outcomes are unimportant. Results remain central to a firm's purpose. But the experience surrounding those results often shapes the client's view of whether the firm acted professionally and treated them fairly. A client may accept that no lawyer can control every outcome. They are less likely to accept confusion, silence, or a pattern of missed commitments. Responsiveness is a measure of respect. Responsiveness is one of the clearest ways a firm can demonstrate respect for a client's time and concerns. Legal issues rarely arrive at convenient moments. A client who reaches out may be worried about a deadline, a family decision, a business dispute, or a change they do not understand. Waiting without guidance can deepen that anxiety. Chris Jackman, managing attorney of the Jackman Law Firm, has built client communication into the firm's operating standards. The firm aims to respond to client questions about case status within 24 hours. That standard reflects an important business principle. Reliable communication should be treated as part of the service, not as an extra task performed when time permits. Firms that take this approach give their teams clearer expectations. They reduce the risk that important questions fall through the cracks. A shared process for returning calls, documenting updates, and assigning responsibility creates a more dependable experience for the client. Consistency turns values into practice. Consistency requires intentional systems. A firm may use standard intake procedures, written communication guidelines, case update schedules, training for staff members, and internal checklists for common tasks. These tools are not meant to make service impersonal. Used well, they make it easier for people to deliver thoughtful service without relying on memory alone. A consistent process also helps a firm remain steady during growth. As teams expand across offices or jurisdictions, informal practices become harder to maintain. Clear standards give new employees a practical understanding of what the firm expects. They allow leaders to identify gaps before those gaps become recurring client concerns. The Jackman Law Firm has grown from one office in Seattle to serve clients in Washington, Colorado, and Texas. Growth of that kind requires more than legal demand. It requires a structure that protects service standards as responsibilities are shared among lawyers and staff members. A firm that grows without clear systems can create uneven experiences. A firm that grows with purpose can reinforce its reputation at each new stage. Transparency builds credibility before results arrive. Clients often seek legal help when they feel they have limited control over a situation. Transparency can restore some of that control. It means explaining the process without talking down to people. It means being clear about what the firm can do, what it cannot promise, and what decisions the client will need to make. Transparency begins with expectations. A firm should explain likely timelines, key milestones, documents that may be needed, and the role each person will play. It should also explain fees and billing practices in language a client can understand. Direct conversations early in the relationship can prevent misunderstanding later. Honesty is especially important when the path forward includes uncertainty. Legal matters can change because of new information, opposing parties, court schedules, or decisions outside the firm's control. A trusted attorney does not create false certainty to make a client feel better in the moment. Instead, the attorney explains the available options and helps the client understand the consequences of each choice. For prospective clients, this is an important sign to look for. A reputable firm should be willing to discuss the limits of the legal process as clearly as its potential benefits. Professionalism is not measured only by confidence. It is measured by accuracy, restraint, and a willingness to communicate difficult information with care. Leadership shapes the client experience. A law firm's reputation is often described as a marketing issue. In reality, it is largely a leadership issue. Leaders determine what gets measured, what behaviors are rewarded, and what standards are enforced when work becomes demanding. A managing attorney has an important role in setting the tone. When leaders make time for training, review communication practices, and hold people accountable for service commitments, those priorities become part of the firm's culture. When leaders focus only on volume, billable work, or short-term growth, clients may eventually feel the effects. Jackman has identified customer focus, ownership of work, and respect for excellence as core values for his firm. These ideas are useful beyond one practice. Customer focus means recognizing that legal service is experienced by a person, not just processed through a file. Ownership means each team member understands that an unanswered question or delayed task can affect the client's confidence. Respect for excellence means quality should extend to details that may seem small but rarely feel small to the person waiting for help. Professionalism is seen in the details. Professionalism is sometimes treated as a vague idea. In practice, it is visible in ordinary moments. It is the lawyer who arrives prepared. It is the staff member who knows the client's name and understands why the matter is urgent. It is the email that answers the question being asked instead of sending a generic response. Professionalism also includes boundaries. A strong firm does not promise access that it cannot sustain. It does not use complicated language to hide uncertainty. It does not treat clients as interruptions to the legal work. Instead, it creates a respectful system for communication and follows through. For legal professionals, this requires ongoing attention. Firms should regularly examine where clients become confused, where response times slow down, and where internal handoffs create problems. Staff feedback can be valuable because employees often see recurring questions before leadership does. During an initial conversation, clients can pay attention to whether the firm listens before offering an answer. They can ask who will handle day-to-day communication, how updates will be provided, and what response time they should expect. They can also ask how fees are explained and what the next steps will be after the meeting. The answers may reveal more than a broad statement about experience. A firm that can describe its process clearly is often better prepared to manage the relationship responsibly. That does not guarantee a particular outcome. It does show whether the firm has considered the client experience as part of its professional duty. Clients should also consider how a firm treats people before a formal engagement begins. Courtesy, clarity, and prompt attention during the intake process can offer an early view of the culture behind the practice. Trust is difficult to manufacture in a single meeting. It is usually reflected in patterns. Trust is built before it is needed. The strongest law firm reputations are built slowly, through decisions that may not seem dramatic at the time. They are built when a client receives an update before needing to ask. They are built when a staff member takes responsibility for a problem and follows it through. They are built when a lawyer gives a clear answer, even when the answer is not easy. For law firms, this work requires discipline. It means treating communication, training, technology, and internal accountability as central parts of the business. It also means understanding that reputation is not separate from client service. It is the record created by client service over time. For clients, the lesson is equally practical. Look beyond promises and look for structure. The firm that values trust will usually be able to explain how it earns it. That is the standard that helps legal relationships begin on firmer ground and remain strong when the work becomes difficult.